Alrighty, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about the Skylanders that I think inspired each of the battle classes in Imaginators. So I'm going to be giving a couple examples for each and just Skylanders that I think very well fit the formula for the battle classes in Imaginators and the ones that I think led to the creation of those battle classes. So you guys will understand once I get into it, and I will see you guys at the outro, so enjoy the video. Alrighty, so to start with, we're not going to really be going in any particular order, but Slinger is the class that's up first, and the first counter that I think inspired this is definitely Slinger. He's one of the original 32, and he's a very prominent character that everyone seems to like, and he very much is a Slinger. Like, he has a bow and arrow, and 2 of his 3 moves revolve around that bow, so I think Slinger was 100% one of the scoundrels that inspired it. And the other one I think is Snapshot for sure. This guy's such an icon for the series. He pretty much headlined like the most popular game in the franchise, and the most liked game in the franchise, and he very much has a bow and arrow. I think he very much had heavy inspiration on the Slinger class, and he's a big reason why it did end up becoming a class in the end. Now next up is the Brawler class, and we have the first counter is from SSA, and that's Terrafin. I think Terrafin is very clearly a brawler. He very clearly fits this class, and I think he inspired brawlers of the future. But this guy is a very classic brawler. It's not like he has massive fists or any special gimmick. He's just kind of a shark that punches. This guy very much fits the brawler class, and I think he did inspire different types of brawlers throughout the series and eventually led to the creation of the battle class. And the other one for brawler I think is Eyebrow. This is pretty standard, but this guy is sort of more of a gimmicky brawler because he has his massive eye and he has his gigantic fists, and his whole sort of play style and gimmick all revolves around him being a brawler, and he literally has in the name. This guy was definitely a big inspiration for the brawler class. Now moving on, next we have the Knight class. Another SSA is going to start off, I think, Igniter. The only reason I think Igniter over Chop Chop is because Chop Chop has a shield, and the Knights in Imaginators do not have shields, so I think Igniter is a better one, and Igniter kind of has Knight in the name almost a little bit. This guy is very clearly a Knight. I mean, he's got like the silver armor, and he's got the sword, and he's got the shield on his back, at least in Series 2. This guy's really cool, and he's definitely an inspiration for the Knight class. And then the next one, I think, is Nightlight for sure. Nightlight is one of the coolest Knights in the series, and he has a gigantic sword, and that definitely inspires some of the Knights in some of the senseis, like Ambush and Blastertron, just have these massive swords, and Imaginators giving them more like gimmicky weapons, gimmicky swords. I think Nightlight was a big inspiration for this. Now next up we got the Bazooker class, and the first one's pretty obvious, another SSA counter, that is Zook. Zook is pretty freaking clearly a bazooker, it literally has it in his name. And this guy, I mean, he's just a classic bazooker. From day one, you knew this guy was going to be just a classic character with a bazooka, and his moveset is pretty similar to what you can expect from a bazooker in Imaginators. I mean, he's got like one where he shoots into the air and it comes down on enemies, and he has just a basic bazooka attack. This guy is pretty much fits the exact format for bazookers, and he's very clearly an inspiration for them. Now, next up is Kaboom from Trap Team. This is another very clearly a bazooker, and this guy has more of the like kind of bruiser approach to being a bazooker, where he can kind of like do this sort of ground pound where he like boosts off the ground and then slams back down, which did end up being an ability that Imaginators can have in Skylanders Imaginators. So I think he was definitely a big inspiration. These guys both sort of take the different approaches, with Zook being kind of more of a like sit back and shoot from far, and what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? Kaboom being sort of more of an up-close sort of brawler type of bazooker, but still definitely a bazooker. So that's why I think those guys inspired that battle class. And next up is the Ninja class. Now for me, this was one definitely inspired by Stealth Elf to some extent. She uses a lot of stealthy abilities to get around, and she goes invisible, and she overall just fits the sort of ninja theme. Like, she is very stealthy and quick, but she doesn't use Ninja Stars. Ninja Stars, I think, were inspired by Lobstar. Lobstar uses Ninja Stars, and he pretty clearly fits that battle class. He's kind of like a short, stocky character, and he even has like the build of a Imaginator. If you're going to make him with a creation crystal, he has that same build of just sort of a head with limbs coming out of it, and he just acts like a classic ninja. I mean, he's got speed and he's got range, so I think Lobstar was definitely a inspiration to some extent. And the next battle class is going to be the Swashbucklers. Now for this, the first one, obviously Ninjini. Ninjini has the exact Swashbuckler build that we end up seeing in Imaginators. She pretty much, like, I feel like they literally just took it straight from her with the tail and the tasset and the double swords on both sides. This very clearly, like, they took so much inspiration from Nagini. She fits this battle class perfectly. And then the other one is Washbuckler. I mean, his name sounds very similar to Swashbuckler already, but he has two weapons, one in each hand, so that, I think, they got some inspiration from that as far as what Swashbucklers were going to be like in Imaginators, where they were going to be dual wielding, having two different weapons. And then he has his bottom, which is 5 legs, and I think he has a spin attack with it, so it kind of doesn't really move like 2 legs, it moves more like having a tail. So that's why I think Washbuckler was also pretty heavy inspiration for the Swashbuckler class. And next up is the Sentinels. Now, there is only one Skylander, I believe, that has a double-sided weapon from the first 5 games. How surprising that is, I'm very surprised by it. But Firecracken does have a double-sided weapon, and he uses it like a Sentinel. He spins it around, he slaps into enemies, he swings both sides at them. He feels like you're playing as a Sentinel when you use Firecracken, and it works very well, and I think he pretty much sort of single-handedly introduced that battle class into Imaginators. Now next up is going to be the Quickshots. First one, pretty obvious, Trigger Happy, one of the most iconic and beloved Scounders ever. He's very clearly a Quickshot, he just has 2 guns, that's his whole gimmick. There's not really much to say there. And the next one is Dr. Crankcase. This is another one that I think having him in Trap Team very much helped define this battle class. Just give him 2 guns and they'll be perfect. And this guy pretty much falls into that format perfectly, but he did make this class able to be more gimmicky, because he is definitely more of a gimmicky sort of quick shot, because he has, I mean, he shoots goo, he spins, he has like 5 legs, so he's definitely more of a gimmicky quick shot, if you ask me, compared to Trigger Happy, where he's more standard. But if you mix the two, you get a pretty clear format for what the quick shot class would become. Now, next up is going to be Sorcerers, and the first one I think is definitely Double Trouble. He fits this format pretty well, and he is in SSA, and he's in Giants too, so, you know, he's got a couple, Series 1, Series 2, and he has definitely Sorcerer-type moves. Like, he can shoot lightning, he can summon, I think, a little mini Double Trouble. He can do some cool stuff that definitely would fit the Sorcerer class. And the other one I'm going to say is Enigma. Enigma, I think, fits this class very well, too. Like, he is more of sort of like, he swings his staff around, like he is more of a physical attacker as far as Sorcerers go, and then Double Trouble is kind of like a ranged sort of special attacker. And so when you mix those two, you get pretty much the Sorcerer class that we get in Imaginators, with a variety of different moves that come from different types of Sorcerers. Now, the last class is going to be the Smashers. I think the first one is very obvious, Crusher. Crusher had huge inspiration for this. He's literally just a big, bulky dude with a hammer, literally called Crusher, which is very similar to Smasher. And he works just like a Smasher. I mean, he smashes a hammer into the ground, crushes enemies. That all works perfectly, and I think he's very clearly an inspiration for the Smasher class. And then the next one I have might be a little more surprising, a little more out there. It's going to be Bushwhack. When you think of Smasher, a lot of time you think Axe. This is one of the only Scounders that has an Axe, and his Axe is super prominent. This guy is super fun to use, and he is definitely more of a fast-paced sort of, I guess, he's got some more long-range attacks, he's got some more variety in his moves compared to Crusher, and so these two definitely work together to create sort of a mid-range to close range and very, very strong Skylander who can both smash into the ground and just swing at enemies, which ends up being very clearly what the Smasher class is. Alrighty, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you disagree with anything, think there are other Scounders that inspired each battle class, please feel free to let me know down in the comments down below. I definitely want to see what you guys think. And thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See you later, guys.